Hello, good evening, and welcome back. It seems as if the days of Britain's MI5, and by extension MI6, being world renowned, seem to be slowly slipping away. And I don't say that with any pleasure at all, I say it with much more of a heavy heart. And the direction that they're trying to go with, more exposure so people know what we're doing, I think is very much the wrong way to do things. And yes, of course, I'm very much for the individual's freedom and against deep state and things like that. But when it comes to national security, there is an understanding that, of course, there needs to be a lot of protection and privacy there. And to try and get it more out into the open for people, I think is therefore very much the incorrect thing to do, which we'll go into. As they say, new MI5 chief says UK facing nasty mix of threats. So Britain is facing a nasty mix of national security threats, from hostile state activity by Russia and China to fast-growing right-wing terrorism, the new Director General of MI5 has said. But he says, also in the next paragraph, Ken McCallum said terrorism remains the biggest threat, with Northern Irish and Islamist extremism also a concern. But if you wish to go down, because they're trying to paint, of course, these far-right extremists, not that they can actually define who they are, and we'll get into the COVID impact in a little while, they say, of the threat from jihadists, Mr. McCallum said there are still tens of thousands of people committed to that ideology. The challenge was to make the difficult judgments on the small numbers amongst them who are going to turn to violence, and of course they missed them when it came to the Manchester bombing. They do foil a hell of a lot. They definitely do. They foil more than are successful, and more props to them. And that is the difficult thing of being a secret service, that a lot of your successes are going to go unreported, otherwise you're going to be exposing yourself, and therefore you cannot say just how many you foiled. Definitely. No doubt about it. However, if you're then actively saying, yes, we've got a fifth column in this country, we know who they are, we know this ideology, people are spouting it, and then trying to say, well, it's just the small numbers of them that we're trying to focus on who might turn to violence. Surely at some point you might go, yeah, okay, so we're MI5 and we've got to focus on the real violent threats. But hey, daddy government, if you will, maybe you should be concerned that there seems to be a fifth column of tens of thousands of people who are committed to an ideology of destroying your country and tearing it apart. But you might want to do something about that in order to prevent it from happening. You might want to have a look. You might want to do what they've done in Saudi Arabia by putting microphones and cameras in mosques, for example. It might be something that's a worthwhile idea. And, of course, also understanding that if you come to another country, you're then not really going to be appreciated if you decide to try and tear apart that country. That kind of thing will not be allowed, in which case you cut it off at the source, that you get rid of the cause instead of just addressing the symptoms. He says, more terrorists these days, he said, have opted for fast, simple plots, giving away fewer clues and less time to find them. Around 950 UK-linked extremists travel to war zones in Syria. On average, most of those who have returned did so early on and tended to be less extreme. Why are we letting them back? You're going off to fight against the UK. You've made your choice. Off you go. I would say good luck to you, but I wish you the worst of luck. A significant number of those who remained have been killed. Good. You deserve it. Others are in third countries. Some are interned in camps in Syria, while yet more are still at large in northwest Syria. And hey, we're hoping to leave, just leave the Middle East. We've been there enough. We've been there for a couple of decades. We're trying to establish them to know what's going on, especially the Iranian troops on the ground. So, cool, we've trained you. You've had a couple of decades. Now it's up to you. If you can't manage it, we're going to defend ourselves. But it's your turn. It really is. Too many of us have died trying to save you. If you can't deal with it, your problem, not ours. Simple as that. Mr. McCallum said jihadist plots formed the bulk of UK investigations. So, they're trying to say, it's the rise of far right and we're so concerned. And yet the bulk are jihadist. At least the BBC are honest a bit further down. But then they do say the new threat is from right-wing terrorism, where MI5 took over the lead from the police in April. Out of 27 terrorist plots disrupted in the last 4 years, 8 have involved right-wing extremists. So, 27 disrupted in the last 4 years, bear in mind, and then it depends, what would you say is a terrorist plot that's been disrupted, and then how do you define right-wing? You can't. Or at least they can't. Many of the adherents around the world are very young, indicating the problem may be around for some time. and they regularly compare notes with counterparts in the FBI, European agencies, and other nations in the Five Eyes grouping: US, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. So far, there has not emerged a single global unifying ideology in the way the Islamic State group or Al Qaeda have had, which is just as well. The fewer terrorists, the better. But before we get on to the foreign agents where they're concerned about Russia, China, and Iran, saying that dealing with China requires a complicated balance. We'll get into it now, okay? He said there is a need to work with China on issues like climate change, but at the same time to be robust in confronting its covert activity. I was like, yeah, I think we're going to be more concerned about them not destroying us as a country than what they may or may not be doing with their oil. Maybe that's got to take precedence there, seeing as they don't seem to give a shit about the climate change agenda. Maybe we should be more focused about how they're actively harming us. Say new legislation is expected to make a big difference in bringing the law up to date and criminalising what foreign espionage agents get up to inside Britain. Good luck. It's just going to be more people being criminalised for Nazi memes, isn't it? Mr. McCallum used a meteorological analogy, saying Russia was like bad weather, but China was a far greater challenge in the long term and more like climate change. Oh, so not a threat at all. I'm kidding. I'm joking. It's fine. Disavow. But you see the point that actually trying to address China is a bit of a tentative issue. But the best bit that they're supposed to be the cream of the creme, if you will, the absolute best, the top security agency. Nothing can stop them. Mr. McCallum said empty streets and lockdowns during the coronavirus pandemic have made covert surveillance far harder. Oh God. Fewer crowds give adversaries fewer opportunities to attack, but make the job of MI5's watchers more conspicuous. Okay, there are going to be problems, and you're looking at the upper echelons of this. You have technology that we have no idea what you're using. You're far away and above what regular folk are used to. You have unparalleled power, no doubt about it. So, for a start, why is this such an issue? And secondly, why the hell are you mentioning it? Is this supposed to be some sort of bluff? You're saying, oh, it's really difficult with this lockdown, so it'd be a shame if it carried on. Well, actually, they're thinking, come on, keep doing it, because this is easy now. We can just stay at home. Is that the idea? Or are you really saying that you're trying to be more open to people? In which case, you're saying, this is how you get around us. Just stay inside and we can't watch you. So you've just told how to terrorise Britain. Great job there. But they say they've also been tasked with safeguarding national security, which has tried to maintain staff levels inside its headquarters building, a Thames house with social distancing. Oh dear. Yeah, again, MI5, the elites, the top of the game. Our entire national security relies on these people, but they're scared of the sniffles. It's a shit show. It really, really is. But just to get to his point, as they say, they're using AI now basically in order to make it easier in order to see what's happening. That they're trying to say that they want to be more open with the public and what they're doing, to have more of a presence so that people are happier with what they're doing, essentially. But again, isn't it more important to just keep people protected? And you're going to have to understand you're going to be the unsung hero. You don't go into this because you want to be a celebrity, because it really isn't the goal for a celebrity at all. But he says, we need to be increasingly visible, opening up new partnerships. MI5's operational successes are mostly invisible, and that is the key takeaway. Yes, they are mostly invisible. That is something you're going to have to live with. You've got to know that you're doing the right thing, and that is what you're going to have to make peace with. Not trying to rely on other people to say, well done. That ain't going to happen. That isn't what secret means. But other than that, McCallum, good luck, and maybe you can actually push for something to be done about foreign aggressive ideologies which are causing the bulk of your investigations, as you say. Maybe there's something that could be done to address the cause instead of just the symptom. But as always, let me know what you guys think down below. Always intrigued to hear what you guys have to say. And as always, until next time, have a good one.